Cellular respiration can be classified into two types by depending upon presence and absence of oxygen. Cellular respiration can be defined as aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. If cellular respiration takes place in the presence of oxygen, if the cellular respiration takes place in the presence of oxygen, that respiration is called aerobic respiration. That respiration is called aerobic respiration. If the respiration takes place without oxygen, means absence of the oxygen, that respiration is called anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration. I am going to explain how the respiration process takes place in the cell and how the energy is produced. We know already we get food to get energy. Why we consume food? To get energy. How that energy is produced? That energy produced by breaking down of that consumed food. That all reactions happens in the cell. We eat different substances. There are different nutrients in our food. Among them, glucose is main food component. Glucose is main food component. There are different substances like proteins, vitamins, fats. Among them, glucose is main substance to produce energy. That's why glucose is called energy substrate. Why it is called so? Because the substance which helps to produce energy, so it is called as a energy substrate. Glucose is a energy substrate to produce energy in the organism. Its chemical formula is C6H12O6. We learned in photosynthesis equation. So C6H12O6 is the glucose chemical formula. This glucose is an initial compound, chief compound, important compound for the production of energy. Now I am going to explain next step. When this glucose is entering into the cell, carried by the blood from the digestive system, this glucose is carried by the blood to the cell. By whom? By the blood. Even oxygen also carried by the blood. When it is reached to the cell, means into the cytoplasm. In the cytoplasm, whatever it may be prokaryotic cell or it may be eukaryotic cell. Whatever the cell type it is, in the cytoplasm, this glucose is break down into pyruvate. So actually there are 6 carbons in glucose molecule. There are 6 carbons in a glucose molecule. These 6 carbons are break down into 3 carbons to form pyruvate. So pyruvate consists 3 carbon molecules. A single pyruvate consists 3 carbon molecules. That's why its chemical formula is C3H4O3. In a single pyruvate, there are 3 molecules of the carbons. This pyruvate also called as a pyruvic acid. It produces pyruvic acid. Pyruvic acid. Its chemical formula is CH3CO, COH. Just find here. 1, 2, 3 carbons. 3 hydrogens and here 1 hydrogen. Total 4 hydrogens. 1, 2, 3. 3 oxygens. So it is the formula of pyruvic acid. If you are writing in the form of pyruvate, C3H4O3 you can write. So glucose break down into 6 molecule carbon containing glucose. 6 molecules carbon containing glucose break down to 3 carbon molecule containing pyruvate. So that's why this reaction is called glycolysis. Glycolysis. So glyco means glucose. Lysis means breaking down. Glycolysis means glucose breaking down. How it is breaking down? 6 carbons containing glucose breaking down into 3 molecule containing pyruvate. From 1 molecule of the glucose we can obtain 2 molecules of the pyruvate. This reaction is glycolysis reaction, breaking down of the glucose into pyruvate. These reactions takes place in cytoplasma of both eukaryotic cells and prokaryotic cells. Means the reaction of the glycolysis is common for prokaryotic cells as well as eukaryotic cells. Now what will happen after formation of the pyruvate? This pyruvate, after breaking down and formation of the pyruvate, this pyruvate will be carried into the mitochondria and the eukaryotic cells. So I will draw that eukaryotic cell at here. It is a eukaryotic cell. It is cytoplasm. It is a nucleus, clear and distinct nucleus. It is a mitochondria. So is it visible? Is it visible? Okay, fine. So it is the mitochondria. Now what will happen? Glycolysis process takes place in the cytoplasm in this blood fluid. So glycolysis process takes place in the cytoplasm. After completion of the glycolysis process, what is the byproduct? Byproduct is pyruvate. This pyruvate travels, means enter into the mitochondria. It is the mitochondria. Remaining steps takes place in the mitochondria. What is the steps takes place in the mitochondria? In the mitochondria, in the presence of oxygen, that pyruvate is breakdown. That carbon bonds, there are 3 carbon bonds in the pyruvate, These carbon bonds are breaking down and produce energy. In the presence of oxygen, 3 carbon molecule containing pyruvate is breaking down to release energy. When that energy is released in the mitochondria, that energy is stored in the form of ATP. The form of ATP. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate. That's why ATP also called as currency of energy or currency of power, because that energy acts as a currency. When we require money to buy something, we use that money. Same, when we require energy to do some work, we use ATP. That's why ATP is called as a currency of energy or power. Like these ATPs are stored in the mitochondria, means energy is stored in the mitochondria. That's why mitochondria called as powerhouse of the cell. Powerhouse of cell. Powerhouse of cell. Are you clear? So when the energy is breakdown, what will be produced? Energy is produced. High amount of the energy is produced. Along with energy, some other products, byproducts are produced. They are carbon dioxide and water. Once again, I am summarizing. Glucose is the main compound. That glucose is converted into pyruvate by breaking. This process is called glycolysis. After formation of pyruvate, in the presence of the oxygen. In the presence of the oxygen means which reaction? Which respiration? Aerobic or anaerobic? Aerobic respiration, because in the presence of oxygen. In the presence of oxygen, these pyruvate break down to produce energy. The high amount of the energy stored along with the energy, carbon dioxide and water will form. That produced energy stored in the form of ATP. ATP means adenosine triphosphate. This ATP breaks down and produce energy when we require. Total these ATPs are stored in the mitochondria. So energy is stored in the mitochondria. That's why mitochondria is called as a powerhouse of the cell. They will ask question, why mitochondria is called as a powerhouse of the cell? Mitochondria stores energy that is produced by the respiration, cellular respiration. That energy is stored in the form of ATP. That's why mitochondria is called as a powerhouse of the cell.